What's popping with the population? This is another episode of Durag with the Cape Road. As you see, I got on my Dragon Ball Z Durag. It's a new episode. I don't know what number this is, but I mean, I know it ain't 10, or maybe it is, but it's not nowhere near 20. Or maybe it is. Whatever, man. As long as you here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and share it with your peoples if you like what I'm talking about. I think it's about time we start really focusing on um, the betterment of the way this system runs, because society is just something we like. How we live, the communities that we live in, are something that we just all agree upon. Like, because at any point in time we could just not agree and it could be anarchy, and that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like, you know, doom and gloom and turmoil. It means like just things just devolve and denigrate, and we just kind of go our separate ways and figure it out some way somewhere else. Because when you look at how we operate, there's people that still live in like jungles and stuff, like Aboriginal people or whatnot. Or there's like Amish people who don't operate the same way we do, as far as like podcasting. Like, they don't have cell phones in 2023. So when you kind of peel back the layers of society, you realize like, oh, that's the whole matrix thing, like the whole argument that I'm sure you've had a friend bring up, like, yo, what if this is all a simulation, bro? It's like, I don't necessarily think it's a simulation. What I do think is that it's just an agreed upon um, situation that we in. Like, we are all living as far as we know, right? Like, and we are all living in this society and have decided to, you know, pay bills, taxes, you know, make sure that we aren't infringing upon or bothering anybody else, and, you know, kind of just like minding our own business, or minding business, whatever you're doing. Like, we've all kind of decided on this is how we operate. And even though we've decided on that, there's still outliers and still people that go against the grain and like an anti-culture or anti-society, and, you know, as far as like crime stuff or just doing things that are like outside of whatever, just whatever. But the systems and everything that we've decided on, I think we need to kind of rework and remaster this whole political thing, because it is very wild that we every couple of years or every year, you know, you vote locally or whatever like that, you have a new bill or amendment or something to vote on that will cause a lot of uproar in whatever communities, because they either want to strip women of some form of their bodily autonomy, or they want to tell people that they can't identify as what they want to identify as, or they want to try to pull back a civil liberty, or they, you know, they constantly every year that, and then every like 4 years, you know, you vote for the new old white guy to represent the country, which is Joe Biden is 81 years old, and he looks every bit of 81 years old, and he sounds and moves every bit of 81 years old. He's so 81 years old that during this Israel uh, conflict with Palestine, where, you know, Israel's committing genocide, like South Africa, which is hilarious. South Africa and Turkey, because that's how you pronounce it, it's Turkey and not Turkey. Turkey, they're trying to take Israel to court for war crimes and genocide. And if they able to get what they want, then it puts the American power structure on Front Street, and they gotta stop. Well, they'll find a way to still do it, but they gotta stop giving them guns and stuff. Especially like since they passed it, then I think they gave Israel more weapons by bypassing Congress, but really ain't bypass Congress. Congress wasn't going to do nothing about it anyway. There's a lot of grandstanding, but like, he's so 81 years old that one of the first things that the Israeli government, well, I think it wasn't even the government, I think it was the media in Israel was trying to say that when Hamas did that, horrendous attack on October 7th at that concert that took, I think, 1,200 lives, and people were kidnapped and whatnot. Um, they tried to say that Hamas did, like, I don't think I can say it on YouTube.
Never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
We did like a really foul things to children. And the Israeli government and the U.S. government, like the Israeli military and the government or whatever, and the U.S. military, like military intelligence, both came out and said, no, they didn't do that. They debunked that lie that was spread for a bit. And Joe Biden still went on air and still said, no, I saw a video of what happened to these kids. But there was no video because it didn't happen. And then he said it happened, but it didn't happen. But he was so sincere about his lie because he's insane and he's a Zionist.
I used to say early on when I was a kid, I'd say when I was a young senator, I'd say if I were a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
And he's 81. Like he's so far removed. Like he was one of the architects of the crime bill. The crime bill affected like black Americans and just like Latino, like all Americans of color for sure. Like, especially if you live in any of the neighborhoods that the U.S. power structure doesn't care about, affected everybody. He in the 80s, like he was a part of the people that did the hearing for the Anita Hill case,
where each of the allegations that you have mentioned in your opening statement, each of the incidences occurred physically where they occurred. You testify.
Case. And if you don't know who Anita Hill is, she was a woman that was taking Clarence Thomas, who's been on the Supreme Court forever. That piece of crap. She took him to court. She was trying to, take him up on sexual harassment. I think sexual assault too, if I'm not mistaken. But he was one of the people that was asking some really wild questions to that woman. If you ever get a chance, just Google Joe or YouTube Joe Biden, Anita Hill, and it's nasty. He's a sick dude. But he's been around. He's been around so long, like he's been around really long and not good at anything he's ever done. But he's the president because to be the president of America, you just have to be old and agree and participate within the white supremacy kind of aspect of things, because white supremacy is not only something that benefits white people, in that it's not about the color of your skin. That's at a base level. It's a power structure thing. It's a thing of dominance, and even people that don't necessarily fall in line with it. Well, as far as like being a white person, whatever, they can still propagate and proselytize white supremacy, because you can still have people like Tim Scott, right? Mr. No Upper Lip, still proselytize white supremacy, because it's the ideology is more than meets the eye. But I can go on for days about that. But I just really want to talk about the fact that this system that we've decided, this society or whatever, that we've decided to, agree to do whatever we must do to keep it running. We got to do better with like leadership, because he's 81 and he's trying to run for president again. Is he going to make it? Like, he's 81, fam. Like, Mitch McConnell was doing a conference or whatever, that press conference, and paused because he's like 4 million years old. I think he was one of the founding fathers of the Klan. Like, wow, old. And again, this isn't even about ageism. It's more about you should find something else to do. Like the the Secretary of Defense, if I'm not mistaken, that's what this man's position is. The Secretary of Defense was in the hospital for like 3 days. And the Pentagon, if I'm not mistaken, the Pentagon did not inform the White House about the Secretary of Defense being in the hospital. And this is during like, again, we got like all this tension going on. Well, not we, I ain't a part of this. The American power structure got all this tension going on with like Iran and what's happening in Israel and Gaza, like Lebanon. Like there's a bunch of stuff happening that the secretary needs to be secretary in. And he was out for like 3-4 days because he was in the hospital, I think, for an elective surgery or whatever have you. And nobody thought to tell nobody. The dude's 70. Maybe he forgot. Like, it's wild, fam. Like, you gotta be, so they just changed it. You can be up to 67 years old to fly a commercial flight before you have to like retire. Like at 67, you gotta retire. And as far as FAA, they made it that way because they said like, yo, long hours, layovers and stuff like that, and breaks and all that. Like we don't want anybody past 67 to do it. Before it was 65, they just changed it to 67. So you can't fly a plane of like 400 people at 67, but you can run a country with your constituents who are on average like 58. And I think there's like 4 people in Congress over the age of 80. You can run a country of millions at 81. You don't even know where you are, Joe. And this isn't even like some big me showing love or any kind of like sides to him or Trump, because Trump obviously is probably more than likely going to run again. He's 77. I thought he'd been with 7. When I was 13, I thought he was 77 because he just ages horribly. But he's 77. If anything, him and Joe are the greatest example of what democracy looks like in America. It is just 2 old white men, or just white men, but definitely older white men deciding the fate of the masses. It makes absolutely no sense. You can't be past 67 and fly a plane commercially. But you can be 81 and run a country? Fam, that's insane. Like, we got people like Eric Adams. No shout out to him. Like, I hope everything bad happens to him and only him and always him. He gotta be senile. He's in an interview and they ask homie, the dude, it's a layup. It's not even a layup. It is a layup question, really, because it wasn't nothing. It was like, yo, Eric, it was a wild 2023. Like, what you got planned for 2024? Like, what you got to say about 2023, man? He's like, yeah, bro, well, man, New York. He's like, New York, man. New York, you could be here, 1 second. You could see a plane crash into a building. And then the other second, you could be opening up a new business. All right.
Mayor, we've come to the end of what was a very eventful 2023, right? So when you look at the totality of the year, if you had to describe it, and it's tough to do, in one word, what would that word be? And tell me why.
New York. This is a place where every day you wake up, you could experience everything from a plane crashing into our trade center to a person who's celebrating a new business that's open.
What? And then has the nerve to defend his comments by saying, oh, yeah, it's the sentence police trying to, misinterpret and misrepresent my words.
I don't think anyone's questioning your enthusiasm and love for the city, but do you regret evoking 9/11 and describing the complicated, crazy nature of this place?
No. And, the sentence police that sit in front of the TV and say, let's wait to see Eric make one sentence that we can turn into a front page. Listen, you're going to find many of them because I'm authentic.
Fam, no, because no one even asked you about 9/11 or or what. All he said was, yo, it's it's been a wild time, in 2023. So what do you guys say? Just 9/11 crashing plane. What is wrong with you? He's 63. Now that's 20 some odd years younger than Biden and about 17 or so younger than Trump. But he's also stupid, just like them. And he's in a position of power. He's also a very weird man. Like the reason he became a cop was because him and his brother, like this is his words, him and his brother got arrested, I believe, for like stealing or doing something wrong. The cops, NYPD does what NYPD does. Police brutality, that's not even the word, but they assaulted him and his brother, like disrespected their civil liberties, like disrespected their human rights, just disrespected them as humans. Beat them both up, right, for whatever they did. And his brother was mad about it, rightfully so, because you just was violated. And homie was like, yeah, nah, I like that. I want that power. Like, jail, sir. What are you talking about? You mean to tell me he could say that out loud and then be the mayor of New York, but people voted for him because he was running off that, I was a New York cop. I was raised in New York. I'm from Brooklyn, so I already know how it is. Like, I'm here to, stop the crime and bring everything down and yada, 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 yada. But it's like, no, he's not. Like, he's there to take away more civil liberties. Like, they want to encrypt the police radios, because you used to be able to listen to that in New York. They want to, like, encrypt it so you can't, so they can do what they do. And then he wants to run the line of all this wild crime in New York. Like, fam, New York City spends more on police than any state in the union.
There's powerful niggardry at work here.
So no, it's because he's in his 60s and he's trying to be the mayor of a city and he's an idiot. And Joe Biden can tell you that he saw a video of children being hurt that doesn't exist because he's 81. And Donald Trump just exists still. He's 77. Why are they even still here? Henry Kissinger lived to 100. Someone brought up a really great idea. It was a real salient point. Was that maybe some of these really, really screwed up people, maybe they saw the end, and that's why they're still here. That's why evil takes so long to die. Because they saw the end, and they know what's coming, and they doing everything in their power not to meet it. Like, I'm trying to understand how we as a society are going to go forward in this currently. Like, if we're gonna keep up this, I like to call it a charade, because I mean, really, you can stop this anytime you want to. Really, the only way to stop something is to stop something, and the power is for the weak. These men, whatever, who want this power, is really just weakness when you think about it, because technically these people are civil servants. Like, they serve you. Like, all of these politicians serve you as whether you voted or not. If you pay taxes, if you work a job, you're paying taxes. Like, on the books, you're paying taxes. So they serve you. Excuse me, if you voted for them or not. But somewhere down the line, it switched from these elected officials being representatives of the people to them being almost like, I don't necessarily want to throw the word dictator around, but almost like dictators in that, like showmen. And I'm not just talking about Trump or Biden, just like period, just all of them. Like, where we lionize them and turn them and sometimes even deify them and turn them into people that they aren't. and act as if who they are, like how they operate, like we have to attach ourselves to and we ride and die for them, but they don't do the same for us, and they barely, if at all, do anything to make sure things are better for the society as a whole. And like we come fam, you can't be past 67 to fly a plane, but you can be 81 and run a country. That makes go sit down somewhere. Why? It makes no sense how removed a lot of these people are, because again, it's not even just their age, it's also their mentality. Bernie Sanders is also somebody been around since forever and has slowly deteriorated more and more in his thinking and ways of how he operates on certain things, especially with Israel and Palestine. And you're like, yo, go sit down somewhere. Like, what are we doing? If we live in a true democracy, in a place where we're supposed to have proper representation of our communities, then there should be people in these positions that look like us. The average age of Congress should not be 57. The average age of the House of Representatives should not be 65. The President of the United States should not be 81. That makes absolutely no sense, especially considering that a lot of these people within these age ranges, they have an outdated and outmoded way of thinking and are pretty much stuck in their ways and won't change. And anytime they do say something that sounds like something that would work out for you, it's really because they're just saying it so they can stay in the seats that they're already in. They don't care about you. When they're local politicians, yeah, a lot of the times they do, because they're easy to be seen. They're easy to get kicked out of whatever positions that they're in. But once they make it up to K Street and all that, and they doing what they're doing in Congress and in the House, they getting money, bro. They don't care about you. Eric Adams was asked a simple question and said, New York City is the place where you could see a plane crash into a building. And then also, that same day, somebody can open up a new business. Fam, those two things don't even correlate. So like, what was he thinking about? What was his 63-year-old brain even kicking at that? Like, what was the squirrel running on a damn wheel doing in his head when he said that? What type of time is he on? Like, we as a society, I feel like a true democracy, I feel like true politics are of and all the people. Because at the end of the day, the only way any of this is going to change for real is to stop something, is for people to come together and we collectively do things as a group, hashing out differences, because we're not all going to agree, and that's okay. But finding common ground so we can move amicably throughout our lives and existence, or whatever have you. Rather than playing these games and letting these people be like superstars to us and whatever to us, when they are people that we pay. You work for me, fam. I don't understand how you can't fly a plane after 67, but you can run a country at 81. Yo, make sure your Durag cape is rolled. I holla. Peace.